So I've always thought it would be a really cool idea if Nintendo would actually give us a lot of the 3DS library to be playable on the Switch in the form of ports and actually reselling the games on the Switch, as we have seen them do this with Miitopia. But I think there's a lot of other titles that could benefit from this treatment, as obviously the Nintendo 3DS was a handheld only console, and if you give some of those games just a basic upres and remaster, they could be played on a full HD TV and fully enjoyed again. And in today's video, I want to share 5 different 3DS games that I would love to see make it to the Nintendo Switch, hopefully in 2022 and beyond. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below. Hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. Now, as I mentioned, guys, we're hopping through kind of a custom list today of 3DS titles that I really think deserve to have a second chance to sell on the Nintendo Switch, and I want to kick it off with none other than Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, which is really a love letter slash almost remake of A Link to the Past. It's at least heavily inspired by that, and it's definitely in the same Hyrule layout, but then they have this whole extra element and mechanic of Link being able to essentially go from 3D into 2D, or I guess it's already kind of like an overhead game, but with 3D sprites, of course. So let's go ahead and boot this up and check out some gameplay on the PC here. All right, so I just went ahead and got to where I can get the sword so I can kind of show you guys the mechanics of the game here. And you know, the thing is, this is I mean, literally, if you have any nostalgia at all for playing A Link to the Past, you will absolutely love this game. And I know, like, depending on what generation— oh, he's telling me to go to the graveyard, I guess. So I guess I can't really— I'm not at a point where I can just show you guys easily what's going on in free roam. There's like some serious stuff going down right now. Apparently there's a secret passage to get into, rescue our friend that is now being under severe threat. Okay, so now we want to definitely stay over here. I guess let's try to push these blocks back. Hey, I got a rupee at least. Gosh, the music is so intense right now. But I will tell you guys, depending on what generation you actually grew up with as your first like original Zelda games— oh, of course it's the one behind the 2 trees. What am I doing wasting time over here? So depending on what generation you grew up with, as far as like for me, like Ocarina of Time was the first Zelda game that really got me into Zelda. I think I may have like briefly grabbed A Link to the Past, but I never owned it. So I know I may have seen it played, but I never got immersed into the story. People who seem to have played A Link to the Past for the first time will sometimes say that that is definitively the best Zelda game like ever, like even over Ocarina of Time. For me, I think it's like one of the best, if not the best 2D Zelda games, but it's definitely not over Ocarina of Time for me. Oh, and one weird thing about how I'm doing the emulation is I really can't see the second screen, which I probably need to right now to use this item. So 1 second. So that's actually so that right there is actually a perfect example of why, you know, little minor tweaks would have to be made to bring this to Switch, because of course they actually want you to use the touch screen in order to actually equip your items to your inventory. And obviously when you're playing on a PC, you don't have that touch screen. Now Citra, the emulator that I'm using, does allow you to go ahead and click on the touch screen instead. But obviously if this port was to come to the Switch, like I would love to see it happen, then, you know, obviously Nintendo would just remap that very easily. So I do own all the games I'm playing today. I love emulation personally, because if you guys don't notice, I have the resolution upscaled to like ×5 or something like that, and it just actually looks crisp. Like that's kind of my point with these 3DS titles. Like they were actually at a point graphically where all you'd really have to do to get them looking nice and running good on the Switch is essentially some hardware up-resing, which I'm sure the Switch could handle, as it's vastly more powerful than the 3DS base console. So you know, there's not a good reason not to bring these things over, but of course they'll probably do it, you know, slowly over the course of time, if at all. Nintendo likes to do their own Nintendo things, and we never know if we're gonna get, you know, fan favorite titles that would absolutely sell. Like you can't tell me that A Link Between Worlds making it to the Switch would not be a top seller, or at least sell in the realm of probably what something like the Link's Awakening remake did. So I think it makes perfect sense to do it, but obviously we'll have to wait on Nintendo to make the decision on if they're actually going to bring it over or not. And if you guys have been around on the channel for a while, you know that I didn't play a lot of the DS and 3DS games because I'm just not big into handheld gameplay. Like I can do it when that's the only option, but if I can play in front of a TV, that's 9 times out of 10, that's always how I'm going to take it. Also, not to mention the fact that for the first time, I am finally playing more on the on handheld, at least with like Pokemon on the Switch, because one, that game, Pokemon's like the perfect game to actually play handheld, and the OLED model has actually made a big enough difference to me, screen quality wise, and just it being big enough that I can still feel pretty immersed. But I've always been that type of, like, ever since I was a kid, I had to literally be sitting right in front of the TV right whenever I was gaming, and, you know, the parents would say that it ruins your eyes. Apparently that's not true, but I don't know, you know, there's all types of stuff on the internet, but a lot of people say that sitting close to screens actually doesn't damage your eyes, which I hope it doesn't, because I'm sure I've done a lot of damage if it does, because like I said, I've done this primarily my whole life. But anyway, we could keep going with the Zelda game, but I got a lot of other ones I want to show you guys, so we're gonna hop into those now. All right, so next up on our list is Metroid Samus Returns, which is a remake of Metroid 2 Samus Returns, of course originally released on the Game Boy. But boy, does it not play like that. It plays like a current, this feels like the prequel to Metroid Dread, which it technically is, but, you know, not direct prequel. But it feels like that, because so this is Mercury Steam, which of course is the same studio that did Metroid Dread, and they actually introduced the melee combat counter here. Like they actually, I think they did a good job of keeping like the core elements of the Game Boy game, but the Game Boy was just so limited that you almost had to recreate it and add in more. And that's really what they did. So, you know, this plays just as good as, you know, any current day Metroid, and really better in a lot of ways than even, you know, some of the great classics like Metroid 1 or Zero Missions is how I'd recommend playing that one, or Super Metroid. What am I doing here? Hold L to lock. Does L not work? Oh yeah, of course, this is the same as Dread 2. I'm telling you guys, if you enjoyed Metroid Dread at all and you have a 3DS, this game is still relatively easy to find right now. Like, I actually think you can get it on Amazon currently. I would pick this up. I would definitely recommend playing through it. Who knows if Nintendo will decide to port it? It would be great if they did, but, you know, in case they don't, go ahead and pick it up on the 3DS and play through it. And if you own it, of course, go ahead and emulate it through Citra. But it is it's actually a really great installment in the franchise. And, you know, I actually did want to, I played through almost every Metroid game leading into Dread's release, but I didn't get a chance to actually go back and play through this one. So, you know, I was playing, like, I played Super Metroid, Zero Mission, Super Metroid, and Fusion before Dread's release. And I did not get a chance to go back and play this one. So it's actually really cool to see it again. Again, another game that, you know, just straight up, you could up-res this and it would be good. I mean, you really wouldn't have to worry about too much at all. But obviously, Dread was an incredible game. I'm still pulling for it to hopefully, you know, by some miracle win Game of the Year, as we're waiting on those awards to actually air on December 9th, and it is nominated for it. But what worries me is I think it's the only other category it's nominated for is in the best action RPG or best action adventure game, rather. So whether or not, you know, I know typically there's games that basically get nominated in numerous categories, and they're the ones that end up winning Game of the Year. But regardless of where Dread finishes up, I love to see it up there. But that would be like a dream come true for me as a long-term Metroid fan, to see something like Dread win Game of the Year award, which I think it absolutely deserves to. Like, Dread is truly a masterpiece of a game. And now it is very hard. The one complaint that I do see from people is that they don't want to take the time to just fail over and over against the same boss, and it does make you do that. Like, the game does not bend, but the payoff once you actually get past those crazy boss fights is awesome. Not to mention the last boss fight in that game. I'm of course not going to spoil anything, but dear God, that was intense. Like, that you literally have to go through and master each and every movement that he does, and you can't mess up. I mean, you can, but you're most likely going to die if you do. But let's hop into some other games before we spend too much time on Metroid Samus Returns. But this is another fantastic 3DS title that I would love to see make it to the Switch one day. So if you've been around on the channel for a while, you may have heard me say that Donkey Kong Country on the SNES, that whole line 1 through 3, but really 1 and 2 stand out to me the most, and probably 2, I can definitively say to this day, is my all-time favorite 2D platformer. Soundtrack is bomb. Like, you can't beat better tracks than what DKC 2 has. Even 1 has incredible tracks. 3, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the level design, the music, or something that was missing, but I definitely did enjoy 3 the same way I do 1 and 2, because I go back to this day and play through 1 and 2 quite regularly. Now, Donkey Kong Country, of course, had a break after 1, 2, and 3, and we saw them do Donkey Kong 64, and then we saw them do some really weird stuff on the GameCube, like with the whole Jungle Blast, I think is what it was called, where they sold basically that bongo like accessory attachment, kind of made it like a rhythm type of deal. So that was definitely like a departure from what DK games are like. What I don't know about the DS game on this one, because then he ultimately made a return to Donkey Kong Country style games in Donkey Kong Country Returns, which I played the Wii game. I never played this, and on the 3D version that is, and I don't know if it's the same game or not. Like, you guys can definitely let me know in the comments down below, because I would love to know, and I didn't do the research before I booted up the game for whatever reason. But yeah, I don't know if this is the same one as the Wii. Like, it looks kind of familiar, but it could just be built, you know, in a similar engine, but have its own levels and own design and story. So I really don't know going into this if this is, you know, a Donkey Kong Country game I completely missed out on, or if it's one that I played through. Like, I did play through Returns on the Wii, but that was kind of weird too, because with the Wii you were pretty much forced to use the Wii remote sideways on side-scrolling games like this. So, you know, you got to have like a multi-button layout for me. So I really wasn't a fan of those games that made you turn the controller sideways and you just had the 1 and 2 button. Like, you might as well go back to the NES base level controller with just 2 buttons whenever you're talking about running and jumping and things. So, and then of course you had the in Mario games, like, you had the whole spin mechanic where if you wanted to spin, you would actually just shake your Wiimote, which, that, to be fair, does actually work really nicely. But if you guys know me, you know that I'm not a huge fan of motion. I'll probably skip past this cutscene here. Okay, here we go. So I apparently I could have skipped that cutscene the whole time. I just didn't press start. So, oh well, it is what it is. Quick little jump cut here, but let's see what the platforming game has in store for us. So, of course, little tutorial there. Oh, that's not what I meant to do at all. I thought he was talking. Okay, so you just got to not press down. So if you do press down, you blow on enemies. Oh, that's interesting. It's been years and years since I played Donkey Kong Returns, so I don't even really remember all the mechanics very well. I will tell you guys this. This is another one of those games. Look at the textures. This is a 3DS game, and I'm telling you, with it up-res +5 or whatever it is from its native resolution, it just looks great. Now, why am I not? I guess I'm not holding Y here. There we go. Yeah, because. And I also, the speed, we got to get Diddy Kong up in here, because DK is like so much slower compared to Diddy Kong. When possible, I'm always playing as Diddy Kong. Did I not see a DK barrel over there? But these Returns games are just the new, I guess, really both this Donkey Kong Country Returns and Tropical Freeze are excellent 2D platformers. Like, they really are. They're a real return to form. I know a lot of people want a 3D DK again. I would love to see that too, just for a mix-up. But I also really enjoy 2D platformers like this. And I mean, obviously there's a lot of indie ones that still come out, but as far as like mainline huge characters from Nintendo, you know, we don't see a lot of those nowadays. So whether the new Donkey Kong that's heavily rumored to be in development right now it comes to the Switch as a 2D or 3D game, I'm on board either way. I just absolutely love Donkey Kong games, especially whenever they have some like killer platforming involved. Oh, there's Diddy Kong over there. So let's definitely play with our boy for a minute before we I guess I gotta RNL this one and throw it. Okay, now how do I want to swap out? Oh no. Oh, I guess yeah, that's right. So the deal with him is you get a little air jump there if he's on your back, kind of help you out. Can I not play as him primarily though? How do I hurt? I just literally want to hurt DK, so that way I have to play as Diddy Kong. Maybe you can't in this game. Like I said, I really don't know. I know it feels incredibly similar to what the Wii game was, but I don't know if it's like slightly different or completely different. Regardless, I think we should get this game too. Like, I mean, you know, really, I would argue that we should get this game, and if they are different games, the Wii game in a combo pack. Because, you know, Tropical Freeze at least made it over from the Wii U as a port, but you know, you have to go all the way back to the Wii to play Donkey Kong Country Returns. So good barrel action. I really think the level design, the style, everything they got down great as a just classic Donkey Kong Country style game. I would love to hear from you guys too, like where your nostalgia's at for Donkey Kong Country games, because if you were like me, like, I mean, DKC 1, 2, and 3, I mean, next level platformers back in the day. All right, let's hop into any other games before I spend too much time here. Oh, you know what? Let's beat the first level real quick. Boom! Got that banana. That's not what I wanted, but oh well. All right, let's hop into the next game. So another thing you guys will know about me if you've been around on the channel for a while is that I love Mario Kart, but I'm pretty much done and have played out what I want to play with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, as I bought that game originally when it was released on the Wii U in 2014. And one game I did not play in the series was Mario Kart 7, which is what we're playing here. And this was a very popular one on the DS line of consoles. Oh no, I missed every item block. That could not have gone any worse. You know, it was super popular just because I think this actually did introduce the online play option. Maybe you could do that on the Wii version as well. I think you could play online in the Wii. And correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure you could. But this, at least on the handheld side of things, you could literally play online with your friends and things. And that's what I remember a lot of people actually talking about. If I'm remembering that correctly, I'm pretty sure you can do that here. But I will just tell you guys, I'm ready for any kind of new Mario Kart experience. Like, my personal wish list, just because it's my all-time favorite of the series, would be Double Dash 2, of course. But, you know, we'll see if Nintendo just chooses to bring back that mechanic or not. Even if they don't base the whole game around it, I would love for them just to at least have an option to play with two drivers and have that trade-out mechanic where, you know, you have two different items at the same time, you have two different characters. Some of the abilities that you had in Double Dash were really, like, memorable to me. Like, if you were playing as, like, the baby Mario Luigi combo, you would get like the Chain Chomp as one of your, like, I think exclusive items. And I know there was a bunch of other exclusive ones that different players got based off of which characters they were. And I always thought that was a really cool thing. They never went back to it, but of course here we are, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe still on the market, just dominating sales all these years later. So of course we can't have nice things and get a new Mario Kart 9 or a Double Dash 2. So why not ask Nintendo instead to maybe bring over something like Mario Kart 7 from the DS? Just throw it on there, see how it sells. Looks pretty nice to me. They could definitely do a little bit more with like lighting and reflections and things, but I mean, the thing about these DS games is they really all look great. They'd be extremely easy to bring to the Switch, in my opinion. So the last game we're checking out today from the 3DS, and there's a bunch more that I want to see come over, but I do remember this being a very enjoyable Mario game, and you will recognize it very quickly because it kind of laid the foundation for what Super Mario 3D World would become. But this is none other than Super Mario 3D Land on the 3DS, of course. And I do notice on the emulator it's actually running quite a few frames behind here, so this is not probably going to be the best gameplay demonstration. Like, there's definitely some noticeable lag. Probably should have maybe toned the resolution down a little bit for this one, but let's see here. We got fast running with Y. Make sure all my controls are checking out here. Not just L. Okay, cool. But yeah, so I enjoy Mario games like this. I really enjoy. I think these ones that are kind of like a 3D, it's a 3D Mario game for sure, but it kind of has like a 2D level layout, you know, like if you just look at the actual level design, and just obviously some like really creative camera work with how they, you know, actually put everything together in the level. But I think that these are super fun and enjoyable. Specifically what I like that they've done recently in these other, you know, newer Mario games, being New Super Mario Bros. And then also just these Mario Land and Mario World games, is the fact that you can play through the whole game with friends and co-op. And that's what I really enjoy doing. Like, myself and my fiance will play through them, just co-oping together. We have some friends over, we get 4 players on it. It's a ton of fun. It's actually like super enjoyable to sit down and play games like this with friends, which I really like, because, you know, you couldn't do that on Mario games, you know, very well back in the day. You could trade off and kind of be like Mario and Luigi, and whoever, you know, dies has to then continue on where they were at. But you know, I really like these new style of like live co-op games for Mario. And I think that this would just be another one that's a super simple, you know, makes sense to port it to Switch. And you can't tell me it's not going to sell great. I think it absolutely will. Anything Mario typically cleans house when it comes to numbers. But, you know, we obviously just had Mario's 35th anniversary and got our little collection pack with 3D All-Stars, which that was great. Going through, a little fun fact for me about, you know, Mario games. I think I've mentioned this in one of the videos before, but Sunshine is actually my favorite 3D Mario game. I think I can definitively say that. Like, I enjoy that game so much. It's got ridiculous difficulty, and it's kind of weird, like the flood mechanic. I get why not everybody's a fan of that game, but I just think when it comes down to level design, the skill it requires for you to be successful on all the, you know, platforming stages, specifically the stages where you actually lose your flood ability because is it Shadow Mario or Dark Mario, whoever takes your flood pack, and then they have like literally the most ridiculous platforming sections they've ever had in 3D Mario games. And I love challenges like that. I enjoyed every minute of the Sunshine playthrough, and I think I enjoyed that on this 3D All-Stars collection by far and away more than anything else. Although Super Mario 64 is a close second because that's the other game that I just absolutely love. Galaxy is incredible. I really wish they somehow would have figured out a way to get us Galaxy 2 on there. Like, I just want all of these incredible Nintendo games to live on and play on the Switch. Like, I think with Nintendo and the audience they have right now, which is really, I think it's like the first time, you know, because you could say the Wii sold 100 million units, which obviously it did, but it wasn't a hardcore audience. You know, like we saw a bunch of games that were more or less just shovelware, or just people trying to get people to say, hey, look, you can now do motion control so even your grandparents can play video games with you. And it wasn't targeted as the core audience near as much. That's why even a game like Zelda Skyward Sword didn't really sell that well. I think it was just over 3 million copies or something on the Wii. And that's kind of crazy whenever you think about a Zelda game, when Twilight Princess on the GameCube had previously sold 9 million copies, and the GameCube was nowhere near as successful in terms of unit sales as the Wii was. So my whole point in saying all of that is I think Nintendo, for the first time in a long time, is in a very unique situation where they have a 90+ million Switch install base currently, and they're saying the Switch is still only halfway through its life cycle. And here we are with, you know, the ability for a hardcore audience to pick up these classic games again if Nintendo just gave them some love and care and gave them on the platform. I think that's what we need to see, and I hope that whatever Nintendo does for their next gen platform becomes just the Switch 2, and it's fully backwards compatible with this whole hybrid concept, and we don't have to start from scratch again. And whatever this Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack thing that they're building right now, which isn't looking too great at the moment, but hopefully it gets better, it'll just roll forward and we'll continue. We won't have to restart again like with the virtual console and all the different things they've done in the past. I know a lot of people want to see the virtual console come back. I think that's a good idea all the way up until whenever you talk about getting a new system, because obviously I bought those games on the virtual console on the Wii and then again on the Wii U, and now I'm just signing up for Nintendo Switch Online. Well, the thing about having a subscription is like, yeah, it sucks, you're always paying money and you technically never own it, but the benefit would be is if Nintendo would actually just continue to roll the service forward, and then you never have to worry about losing your money on something that you can't readily play, you know, on the current gen hardware, because that's where we're at right now. Like, I don't really want to dig out my Wii U and my Wii most of the time to play those other games. I just want to be able to play them on the Switch, and I want to be able to take them on the go, because that's the beautiful thing of a hybrid console. So that's my 2 cents on the matter. It's a lot of fun making videos like these. Hopefully you guys do enjoy them and get to kind of talk to you, share my thoughts with, you know, what I want to see Nintendo do when it comes to game ports, and, you know, kind of have a little walk down memory lane on some of these games. Or in the 3DS case, you know, a lot of these is like I have very vague memories of, so it's really fun to actually sit down and play games like this again. So, but yeah, let's hope we see Nintendo, you know, one day actually bring over more titles from the 3DS to the Nintendo Switch platform. I think it's a great idea, and I would love to hear from you guys in the comments down below what your top 5 3DS, and you can even go more than that if you want to, but what 3DS games you really want to see have a second shot to sell on the Switch, and that you want to see Nintendo actually port over to the console. Thanks so much for watching the video today, everyone. I do truly appreciate you all sticking around until the end. I do at this point in the video want to invite you all one more time to join Sunbro Nation if you haven't done so already. Do so by subscribing below, hit the like button on your way out if you enjoyed it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. That's going to do it for me, guys. I hope you all have a great day. Sunbro Nation, out.